Okay, ChatGPT is probably what people have been talking the most in the previous 2 months. And today we're going to be seeing if we can build an entire application in Kotlin and with Redis as the primary database using only code generated by ChatGPT. But not only that, I also want ChatGPT to fix every mistake that it also causes. I don't want to do anything besides initializing the project and running the Docker container. So without further ado, let's get started. Besides that, I want ChatGPT to do everything for us, even given the idea for the project that we're going to create. So let's get started by asking it, give me some ideas of projects I can build using Kotlin and Redis as the primary database. Let's see what it replies. So, all right, it's already replying. It's giving me a few options. The first one is a real-time chat application. The second one is an e-commerce platform, a social media platform, a gaming platform, a recommendation engine that uses Kotlin for the server-side logic and Redis for strong user preferences and generating personalized recommendations, a job queue system that uses Kotlin for the server-side logic and Redis for storing and processing background jobs, and a real-time analytics system that uses Kotlin for the server-side logic and Redis for storing and processing large amounts of data in real time. Wow, that's actually a really cool idea. Let's see if it can help us making it happen. Number 7 sounds pretty cool. How can I get started? I can spin up the project myself, and I already have a Docker container with Redis server running locally. Guide me, ChatGPT. You can get started by creating a new Kotlin project and adding the Redis client library as a dependency. You can use a library such as Jedis or Jedis for interacting with the Redis server. Here are the steps to create a new Kotlin project and add the Redis client library. Create a new Kotlin project using your preferred build tool, Gradle, Maven. Add the Redis client library as a dependency to your project. For example, if you're using Jedis, you would add the following line to your build.gradle file. Okay, Jedis 3.3.0. Create a new class that will handle the interaction with the Redis server. And once you have a connection to the Redis server, you can start sending commands to the server. For example, you can do the following code. Okay, it's basically giving me a tutorial of how to use the Jedis. That's not exactly what I want. I wanted to guide me through the implementation of this project entirely, right? So I'm gonna ask him a different question right now. So besides that, could you help me implement it with a step-by-step guide? Let's see if you can do it. Sure, here's a step-by-step guide on how to implement a simple real-time analytics system using Kotlin and Redis. Okay, that's nice. Now he's giving me a step-by-step. Okay, I think it's gonna give us the entire application already. Would be pretty cool, to be honest. Let's see. Because one thing that I noticed as well is that sometimes it stops generating the message before it concludes the generation. And if that happens here, that would be a burden, right? Well, let's see if we can actually get to the end. Okay, so it's actually pretty simple. I didn't expect it to be as simple as that, but no problem. Let's do it. We started with this, we're gonna finish with this. It's basically telling us to create a new Kotlin project, to add the Redis client library, to create a new class, to handle the connection and the client, then create a new class analytics service that will handle the logic of your analytics system. And then in this class, you use the Redis client class to interact with the Redis server. For example, you can create a method increment counter that increment a counter in Redis. Okay, but it's not really analyzing anything, right? It's just incrementing counters. Why do I want to increment a counter? Why? Okay, page views. I'm analyzing the number of page views. That could be it. I'm not actually really liking this idea. So I'm thinking that it's too simple. But anyway, I started with this. I'm going to continue with this and see how far we can get, and perhaps even ask it to add more functionality as soon as this is already working. So, okay, let's get started. Let's start by creating the project. Cool. Now let's add our dependency for Jedis. Okay, we already have it. If it's outdated, we can go back there later. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. So number 3, create a new Redis client that will handle the interaction with the Redis server. In this class, you'll need to create a connection to the Redis server using the Redis client library. For example, if you're using Jedis, which I am, you would create a connection using the following code. So yes, let's do it. I'm completely trusting you, Chat GPT, so I'm just gonna create this. If I paste it here, should be able to. Okay, Jedis, do I already have it? I can import it. Nice, localhost. This function is not being used. Doesn't matter. Now create a new class, analytics service, that will handle the logic of your analytics system. In this class, you use the Redis client class to interact with the Redis server. For example, you can create a method, increment counter, that increments a counter in Redis. Okay, let's create this now. Just gonna paste it here. Redis increment, Redis client.jedis. Okay, it's probably, okay, so it's private. I cannot access this. And I'm gonna tell Chat GPT to fix this for me. As I told you, I don't wanna fix anything. I know what's going on. Perhaps I'm gonna simulate, I don't know what's going on. So I'm just gonna copy the message and ask ChatGPT to fix it for me. I'm getting this error on the analytics server. How do I fix it? You're seeing it's because the Jedis property in the Redis client class is defined as private. This means that it can only be accessed within the Redis client class itself. To fix this, you can change the visibility of the Jedis property to public. Let's see, private Jedis. It's giving me the same code. Yes, so it's telling me to create a function get Jedis and return Jedis here, which is fine in Java, I would say, but in Kotlin, that's not really the way you should be going. But I think it should work anyway, right? Since it's an experiment and we're using ChatGPT to generate all the code for us, we're gonna keep using get Jedis here. It should be fine. Right, so let's go back to analytics server, and now I should do, oh, I'm not gonna touch the code. I forget about it all the time. Sorry, it's just impulsive. Yes, let's ask ChatGPT to fix this for us as well. So it says, let's see what it says, because it's throwing an error. It is private in Redis client, even though I added the get Jedis method. It says cannot access Jedis. I apologize for my previous response. I misunderstood your question. In the previous solution I provided, I suggested that you can make the property Jedis public by removing the private keyword. Did it? Did I see it wrongly? Oh, I saw it wrongly. Okay. Sorry, I made all that fuss. And it actually gave me the correct answer. I didn't wait for it to finish, or did I? No, I didn't. Oh, okay, it came to that part and I thought the message was completely generated. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It actually gave more information. Okay, he actually had told me and I didn't see. And then he gave me the best solution here. Okay, so let's go back now. Sorry about that. Yeah, it wasn't ChatGPT, it was me. You see, humans making mistakes since they were born, or something else, I don't know. Okay, let's import that again. Okay, this should be fine now. The analytics service is now being able to access the Jedis property and increment the counter name. Cool. So let's continue now. Let's get back here. After that, it says create a new main that will be the entry point of your application. In this class, you create an instance of the analytics service class and call its methods to interact with the Redis server. For example, okay, let's do this. I think I already have main here, so I'm just gonna replace that function with that one. Analytics service, I don't have a close function, so I'm gonna complain. ChatGPT, it's saying that this function doesn't exist. Did you forget to generate it? Perhaps I shouldn't be talking to it as it's a human, but I don't know, it feels more comfortable talking like that. I apologize for the oversight in the code I provided. I forgot to include the close method on the analytics service class. Okay, you only need to call the close method on the Redis client class when you've done using it, and want to close the connection to the Redis server. You can also use the try with resources block. This way you ensure that the close method is called. Nice. So let's use this instead. Okay. Okay, I think it'll be fine now if I just make this one public, because we have already fixed that before. So I would say that I already learned that, right? So let me get back here. Redis client. Okay. Please let me know if you have further questions. Okay, I will, of course. Thank you for being so kind. Let's see now what's the next step. The next step is now you can run your application and check the value of the page views counter in Redis using the Redis command line interface or another Redis client. You can also create a new endpoint in your app and expose the Redis data to be consumed by other systems. Once you have this basic setup working, you can start building out the rest of your application. For example, you can create methods to handle different types of data, such as time series data. That's cool. Or implement more advanced features like pub, sub, or transaction. I will want to do that as well. But before, let's continue on number 6. So let's run our application. Let's click here on the play button. I hope it works, but you never know. So let's connect to our Docker instance. Let me make it bigger. We're in. Get, what's the name? Page views, right? Page views 1. Cool. And so every time I run this application, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I should be able to see 4 or 5. I don't know how many times. Yeah, I clicked it 5 times. So 5. It incremented the counter 5 times. Pretty cool. Pretty cool that it worked. But I want to do something more complex than that. It's too simple, right? Chat GPT is much more powerful than that. I hope so. Because it then suggested we do more things. Once you have this basic setup working, you can start building out the rest of your application. For example, you can create methods to handle different types of data, such as time series data, or implement more advanced features like pub, sub, or transaction. Okay, so let's continue improving this application. Show me how I can build something using time series data. And I'm enjoying it very much today because it's answering fast. It was, at least. Let's see. Just because I said now it's going to take forever to reply. And it does it sometimes. And sometimes it says, okay, you made enough requests for today. Come back tomorrow. But yeah, that's what we have. Let's wait for it a little bit. Great. That's nice. It's enthused. Time series data is a type of data that is collected over time, such as stock prices, weather data, or website traffic. It's even giving me an introduction for time series data. I love it. One common way to store and analyze time series data is to use Redis and its built-in data structures. I know that. You suggested me to do it, such as sorted sets or streams. I want to use streams. Here's an example of how you can use Redis to store and analyze time series data for website traffic. Create a new class traffic service that will handle the logic of your traffic analytics system. In this class, you use the Redis client class to interact with the Redis server. Create a new method, add visit, that will take in the current timestamp and add it as a new number in a Redis sorted set with the key website visits. The score of the member will be the timestamp in milliseconds. This way, the set will be sorted by timestamp. Nice, it's already giving me the code. And it's private. I hope it doesn't ask me to access this from outside of this class again right away. But let's see if it also learns by itself. Okay, I wanted to use time series, but it's actually using sorted sets. So let's keep going with sorted sets for now. You can create a new method, get traffic, that will take in a start and end timestamp and return the number of visits that time range using the zcount command. Nice. Let's add this new method as well. Here. Okay. And then you can also create a new method, get traffic by interval, that will take in a start timestamp and an end timestamp and an interval. This method will return the number of visits for each interval between the start and end timestamps using the zrange by score command. Okay. Oh, it's still generating. I'm happy that it didn't get stuck during the generation. Once you have this basic setup working, you can start building out the... Just because I said it, now it got stuck again. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I should stop saying that I'm happy for something not happening, because then it happens. Yeah, I think that's... I don't know what it is. That's life. Cool. Z count. Oh, this doesn't exist. So I'm gonna complain. But first, let me see if I can ask it to regenerate the last part. You got stuck after. Can you reprint the message from that part on? Sure, here's the rest of the message. Once you have this basic setup working, you can start building out the rest of your application. For example, you can create methods to handle different types of data, such as time series data, or implement more advanced features like pub, sub, or transaction. You can also build a web interface using web framework like Spring Boot, Express, or similar to visualize the data, create charts and graphs, or allow users to interact with the data. Let's see how far we can get. So what I was going to ask now is, I was going to ask it to fix this, right? So let me say that it's not working. Okay, this is not working. The error message is, and let's see what the error message is. So none of the following functions can be called with the arguments supplied. None of the following functions can be called with the arguments supplied. Help me, Chat GPT. Guide me over here, man. I apologize for the confusion. He's always apologizing. zcount command doesn't have the same parameters as zrange by score. Zcount command receives the min and max values of the score, whereas zrange by score. Okay, give me the right code now. I'm not sure if it's gonna fix it for both, which is the type that zcount command expect. Okay, nice. So it's casting to double. Okay, again, traffic by interval. Let me see if this fixes this. Yes, cool. And then here, I would assume it's the same thing, right? So let's just convert it to double, and now it's fixed. Cool, thank you for explaining to me why it was wrong so I could fix it myself, the other one. Nice. And the next step now, okay, I think I already have done everything, right? How can I test it with my current main? You can test the traffic service class by creating an instance of it in your main method and calling its methods. Here's an example of how you can test add visit and get traffic by interval methods. Nice. In this example, I'm adding 2 visits to the website, and I'm calling the get traffic by interval method with a start timestamp that is 1 minute ago, and then timestamp that is current time, and an interval of 5 seconds. And then the get traffic by interval method returns a map with the number of visits for each interval, and I'm printing the results. You can also test the get traffic method in a similar way by calling it with a start and end timestamp and printing the result. Please note that this example I'm using the current time for the timestamps, but in a real world scenario, you would probably get the timestamps from a database or other source. Please let me know if you have further questions or if you need help with any specific. Let's use this. Now, let's get back here. Okay, let's get to the main. Let's comment out this. And copy too much. Okay, let's make it public. Main, what else? Interval, long found int. Okay, no, it's a long. All right, let's run this. Cool. Okay, so what it's basically doing here is simulating adding 2 visits to the website, and then it gets the traffic for the past 60 seconds, right, with an interval of 5 seconds. So you can see that you have 12 slices here of this 60 seconds, and we can see that in one of them we had 2 visits to our website, which were actually added right here. And more than that, if I also come here, I can also see that we have 2 visits here, right? And the timestamp of this 2 visits and the score that's going to be using for sorting this set, which is also the timestamp, right? You're sorting by timestamp. It's basically working as a time series database here. So let's see what else we can create right now using ChatGPT and using its own ideas only. So for example, you can create methods to handle different types of data, such as time series data, or implement more advanced features like pub, sub, or transaction. In my previous video, I was talking about transactions. Let's see what it can suggest us to do. Can you show me how to add transactions to this code base. Yes, Redis supports a simple form of transactions called multi-exec transactions. These transactions allow you to group multiple commands together and execute them as a single atomic unit so that they either all succeed or all fail. Here's an example of how you can use Redis transactions in the traffic service class. Redis client, gonna add the visit, and the visit is gonna be added within a transaction, which doesn't make much sense, to be honest, in that way. Because what we're actually doing here is we're starting a transaction, we're queuing one command, and then we executing the transaction. Why do you need a transaction for only one command? Perhaps there are use cases for that. Please let me know. And sorry for my ignorance if I don't, but please let me know in the comments, right? Let's see what it explains here. So in this example, the add visit method uses the multi command to start a new transaction and the zadd command to add a new member to the website visits. The sorted set with the current timestamp. Then it uses the exec command to execute the transaction. You can also use other commands inside the transaction like increase, decrease, set, get, or any other command that you need. And it is also important to know that Redis transactions are different from database transactions, as Redis doesn't support rollbacks. So if a command inside a transaction fails, all commands inside the transaction will be discarded. Please let me know if you have any further question or if you need help with any aspect of your application. Okay, so let's refactor that method. Okay, our application is getting pretty robust right now. Ooh, another problem, exec. It's not working. It's complaining. Let me see what it says. Unresolved reference exec. Okay. Show me the money. I apologize for the confusion. Exec command should be used under after multi command, but I noticed that I missed the jedis.multi. Did you? No, you didn't. Right? We were calling multi. Let me see if I can figure it out. Okay, as I see, this function will return a transaction. Let's see, equals yes. And then probably we should add the commands in the transaction. So basically, this is what we should be doing. Okay. And then finally executing the transaction like this, right? But it didn't give me the right answer. This is still not working. Jedis doesn't have the exact command. How do I fix it? I apologize for the mistake. You're correct that the Jedis class does not have an exact command method. I apologize for any confusion. Does not have a built-in support for Redis transactions. It does not have the multi and exec commands. Instead, you can use the pipeline feature of the Jedis library to group multiple commands together and send them to the Redis server in a single round trip. Okay, but that's not the same, right? Pipelining and transactions are not the same. In this example, the add visit method uses the pipelined. Okay, that's interesting because it got the pipeline correct, right? So it knows that the pipeline returns a pipeline object, and then you have to use this pipeline object to call other commands and finally synchronize. But for the transaction, it didn't do the same. So I will try to give it a hint and see if it can still figure it out. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it has the transaction support. Doesn't it work like the pipeline function? Let's see. You're correct. Jedis does support Redis transaction using the multi and exact commands. I apologize for any confusion caused by my previous response. Let's see if it gets it right now, but it was pretty disappointing, to be honest. No, it didn't. It didn't get it right again. Okay. In this example, the add visit method uses the multi command. Oh, man. I'm super disappointed right now. Because even with the hint, let me see if I can teach it at least. This was the right answer. You are correct that in order to use Redis transactions, you need to create a transaction object with the multi method, then add commands to the transaction to finally. Okay, now I'm right. Here's an example of how you can use. Okay. Now it's basically copying what I did after I copied what it did, but no problem. Okay, let's pretend it never happened, even though it did, and it's pretty much disappointing in my opinion, even though it generated all the rest for us. Not coming through that one could be a problem for somebody who doesn't know how it works, right? Or who doesn't have any previous experience with programming or Redis itself. Okay, let's continue. Let's test it. This should be working still. So if you come back to main, let's run this code again. Okay, 2. If I run it again, actually, I should be 4. Should see 4, yes. Nice, because it still happened within the last 60 seconds. And if I refresh this, I see 6 values in this sorted set. Pretty cool. Okay, so I've been recording for 40 minutes already. I don't know how much I'm gonna cut from this video. I don't want it to get too long anyway. We're gonna stop right now. Perhaps I can make a continuation of this video from exactly this part if you guys ask me in the comments. Anyway, it was really nice to do it. You can see that Chat GPT is a really powerful tool. It basically built the entire application for me. It gave me insights, it taught me, it explained concepts as well. And it also made me use different data structures here, such as string and sorted sets. And besides that, he even suggested me using transactions and pipelining, which is actually pretty cool. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. My name is Rafael Delio. Follow me on LinkedIn as well. Check out the description of the video. Don't forget to add a comment saying if you liked it or not and what you think about ChatGPT. Let me know.